Molar volume. All molar volume is just what it sounds like. It's the volume of 1 mole. So basically, you have 1 mole of a substance, and we say that it's equal to the volume of any gas is how I'm going to explain it. So we can say the volume of any gas at STP is going to be equal to 22.4 liters of that gas. So 1 mole of gas, I'm going to say gas equals this many liters of gas. And it doesn't matter what gas we're talking about. Now, when I say this is at STP, remember STP just stands for standard temperature and pressure. Now, we're going to talk about STP and molar volume again at the end of the semester, but I like to bring the molar volume up when we're doing conversions with the mole right now because it just makes sense. So standard temperature and pressure is just saying when we talk about gases, and we have a whole chapter that discusses gases. When we talk about gases, we have gases, if they're at STP, basically if they're at standard temperature and pressure, that simply just means that they are at, what am I saying, 273 K, that's their temperature. Their pressure is gonna be 1 atmosphere. So if I know that a substance is at 273 K in 1 atmosphere, I can go ahead and assume that 1 mole of that substance is gonna equal 22.4 liters. So if you guys look at the worksheet, like the very first problem says, we have a sample of neon gas, it's at STP. So it being at STP means that I can use the molar volume. That's all that really means for us right now. So that means I can use this conversion. And when I use this conversion, it's just like the other conversions. If I know 1 mole equals this much, I can set up a conversion. I'll even do this first one with you guys. This first example says, I have a sample, let me see. A sample of neon has a volume of 75.8 liters at STP. How many moles are present? This is the question.
3.38.
All right, but before we just call out the answer, let me just talk through the question. So if I talk through the question, we set this up, we're gonna set it up similarly, just like we have before. But now we're gonna say, okay, I start off with 75.8 liters. And liters, we have to recognize as a volume. So that's why we call this the molar volume. We have to recognize that liters is a volume. And if I want to go from liters to moles, because that's what the question is asking, I simply have to use that conversion if it's at STP. So the keywords are STP, liters, and moles. So in this case, I still want liters at the bottom. I want moles at the top. I'm going to say 1 mole is equal to 22.4 liters. And this time we're talking about neon. So if I say Ne is neon, I got Ne, moles of Ne. So it's just like the other ones. I'm still putting the 1 in front of the mole, whether it's at the top or the bottom. And then I'm just going to use 22.4 liters because that's the volume of any gas if it's at STP. Now, just like before, when I was doing this one, and I say, okay, I can't just go from grams to particles, I have to go to moles first. The same thing happens if I want to go from liters to particles. or liters to grams. I can't just go from liters to grams. I have to go to moles first. So what I'm saying is if I have liters and I want to go to grams, I have to go to moles first and then moles to grams. Or if I have grams and I want to go to liters, I have to go to moles first and then I have to go to liters. Same thing with particles. If I have liters and I want to go to particles, I have to go to, sorry, this still should say moles first and then particles.
Particles.
And vice versa. If I want to go from particles to liters, I have to go to moles first and then liters. So basically, the key point is to always go to moles first. So in this case, if I have liters, my conversion looks like liters at the bottom, the 22.4 liters go at the bottom, 1 mole at the top. If I go from moles to grams, we know 1 mole at the bottom equals the mass from the periodic table at the top. If I go the opposite way, I'm now saying 1 mole equals the mass from the periodic table. And then I'm saying 1 mole here is equal to the 22.4 liters. But if I want to go from liters to moles to particles, it's still the same thing. Anytime I'm going from liters to moles, I'm still going to use the molar volume, which says 1 mole equals 22.4 liters. But this time I'm going to use Avogadro's number to go from moles to particles. And remember, Avogadro's number says 1 mole equals 6.022 times 10 to the power of 23. Same thing here, particles to moles. I'm using Avogadro's number. 1 mole equals 6.022 times 10 to the power of 23. And then if I go from moles to liters, I'm using the molar volume, which says 1 mole equals 22.4 liters. So these are basically the different scenarios that will come up when we talk about converting from like particles to grams, grams to particles, liters to grams, grams to liters, liters to particles. These are the different scenarios that can come up. Basically, the whole point, as we see here in the middle, is to always go to moles first. We always go to moles first. If you're not in moles, you got to get to moles. I gave you the 3 different ways to get to moles. If you start off with particles to get to moles, use Avogadro's number. If you start off with grams to get to moles, use the molar mass. If you start off with the volume, I'm saying liters here, but any volume. Let's say we started off with milliliters, guys. If we had milliliters, the first thing you really had to do is go from milliliters to liters. And we know how to do that just with the prefix multipliers. And then you say, okay, I know liters to moles. We're going to use the molar volume. Does that make sense, guys?
Yes.
Same thing. If I started off with kilograms and I wanted to know how many moles I had, I have to go from kilograms to grams and then grams to moles.
Could you move your paper up a little bit, please, so I could see the last conversion?
Oh, this one?
Yes, thank you.
Like this. All right, so also know that if I want to go from, I have such things as millimoles. Hold on, guys. And so just also know I can have a prefix multiplier in front of any of these things. So don't get confused. If you see something like a millimole, or if you see something like a kilomole. All it's saying is you need to convert it to moles first before we get there. Does that make sense, guys? You know, we know kilograms and milligrams and kiloliters and milliliters. Just know that you got to go to grams or liters first. You got to first do that conversion. And then go to use these, either Avogadro's number, molar mass, or the molar volume. So if I just share my screen with you one more time, it's kind of pointed out in the screen. Here, let me share my screen again. All right, if I share this one, it's pointed out to you here where it says the mole conversion strategy. It's saying, look guys, if I start off with a mass, use the molar mass to get to moles. If I start off with the volume, use the molar volume to get to moles. If I start off with a particle, the particle can be an atom, a molecule, a formula unit. It didn't put ions here, but it should. I use Avogadro's number. Also notice, guys, that they have 6.02, 6.02 or 6.022. It doesn't matter. Either one will work. Let's just use the 6.022 for this class because that's what our book tells us. And I get a lot of problems from the book. So let's just add another 2 there when we talk about Avogadro's number here. So remember, the first thing is get to moles first. And then once you get to moles, you can jump back out to anything else. Okay. So remember, I said 1 through 12. We've already done the first one together. So you guys just have 11 more. You're going to have to show your work, box your answers, and then upload it under the assignments where it says mole conversion worksheet. So we go to assignments. Remember, assessments, assignments. It's going to say mole conversion worksheet. That's where we're going to put it.
When is this due, Professor?
Next Monday. So we have time. On Wednesday, I'm going to talk about the other part of chapter 6, and we're going to talk about the lab for chapter 6. And then I'll talk through, I don't know that I might incorporate the lab into the quiz. I think I've done that before. If I incorporate the lab into the quiz, where I give you guys the weekend to complete the lab, and then you just answer questions in the quiz for Monday.